Welcome to the Book Dormer. Thanks for coming by. Today is the January 2024 wrap-up. We're going to go through what books that we made it through this year, or this month, I should say this month, but January kind of felt like a year. I've got 4 fiction works for you, and then I also have 2 nonfiction and 1 audiobook. First book up, grabbed just off a stack in one of the big box stores. It's The Paleontologist. Why I bought it, I don't know, but it had dinosaur on the front, which probably explains why I bought it. Anyways, Luke Dumas. This book is about Dr. Simon Neely. He is a paleontologist, and when he was young, his family did not have much money. Single mom, no real funds, but he loved museums, and they managed to get free tickets to the museum one day. 2 of them, so the mom couldn't go, but the son and his little sister went, and she goes missing at the museum. Never shows up again. So at this museum, the Hawthorne Museum, which we're going to hear that name again in a little bit, but at the Hawthorne Museum, he grows up, traumatized still very traumatized about this missing sister. He then moves off, goes to college, gets his PhD in paleontology, because the gentleman, he loves his dinosaurs. In fact, that's why his sister was able to go missing. She loved bugs, was down in the insect area, and he loves dinosaurs. He got bored of waiting for her love of bugs, and he went up to the dinosaurs, and that's when she got snatched. Or at least that's what everyone assumes happened. Anyways, Dr. Simon, he goes on, gets his PhD, really good job, gets a job at the Field Museum in Chicago, fantastic museum. If you've ever been there, you can kind of tell I like my museums. And he's working there. He's got a boyfriend, good relationship going, but the relationship falls apart because Simon is having nightmare traumas about his missing sister. Waking up super screaming, the kind of thing that would really suck if your partner was doing that. So the partner tries to get him into therapy, won't do it, partner leaves. Yeah, minor aside, folks, get therapy if you need therapy. All right, so this book, he's boyfriendless. He wants a change, and he does what literary characters do. And it's the kind of thing you always go, why do you do this? Moves back to where the trauma happened. So he gets a job as the paleontology lead at the Hawthorne Museum. And so he moves back there. Unbeknownst to him, they are out of money. They were doing poorly before, fundraising's not going well, and then COVID almost crushed them. So the museum's having tons of trouble. They want him to do things like make a dinosaur exhibit out of these bones that the previous paleontologist had found under dubious circumstances, maybe stolen, who knows. They were hidden in a back area. Yes, the Hawthorne Museum has hidden rooms. And he can't get into all the records of the museum because they have them locked and won't let anybody in to see them. Yeah, that doesn't seem any suspicious. So definitely something going on there. Book goes kind of a little weird when a ghost appears. Yeah, a ghost of a Triceratops appears, and then later we have a T-Rex, and you have some, well, or maybe it's not a T-Rex, but it's some sort of carnivorous dinosaur. Still would be bad to meet. By the way, did I mention these ghosts appear? Yeah. Book follows around. Simon, one of the nice parts about this, actually kind of a really interesting twist, is that Simon is tiny and not good at violence. So he can't fight his way out of any problems. He's going to have to logic solve them. Book went pretty well. There is a Deus Ex Machina at the end that I don't like it when you do a Deus Ex Machina. Not a fan. If you go to try to do the big thing and you lose, but then you're still saved, it's it's always kind of a little cheap. And that's kind of how the book left me. 3 out of 5 stars for The Paleontologist. Next up, book I found. Wife and I went on a book date. We go to a small bookstore, grab a book, go somewhere to eat, start reading. Paradox Hotel by Rob Hart. It's 2072. And time travel exists. Backwards. You can't go forward, but you can go backwards. And so the government has a hotel. Yeah, I know. I guess there's that one in Yellowstone, so maybe there's the government hotels. Anyways, you can time travel back. go back and go look. You do it with a guide. I mean, obviously they're not just going to send you to the Roman Empire and say, good luck. By the way, I wish you knew Latin. Like, it wouldn't go so well. Oh, by the way, why do you have a phone? So they dress them up, get them the costumes. You have a guide to handle interactions. But there's a cost to doing this. And the cost is that you can only do it so many times before your body starts to slip. And it's a not greatly well defined, but you can take super Altoids to help combat it, but it only combats it for a while. You can't do it over and over, or sooner or later your mind will mush. Like, you will be absolutely gone. But for a while you can see things. So people are like seeing flashes of the past, memories of whatever they have that are happening. That leads us to our security and our protagonist, January Cole. January Cole is the security consultant / exhibition guide / person who goes and fixes anything that happened / detective. She wears a lot of hats. Looks like the place would have trouble without her. And she is slipping. She's slipping pretty bad. So she is seeing things like her former girlfriend who died in the hotel. Oh, so your girlfriend died in the hotel, but you stayed in the hotel. You're still working there. Okay. But she'd be able to see her, right? So she's visiting her girlfriend in the hotel. She really should move away. She really should get far away from the hotel and the time travel paradox, which is in the government facility nearby. And being close to it is causing her slippage, but she's able to see the girlfriend who she loved. Which is interesting that she actually loves somebody, because January Cole is a no-nonsense, doesn't need anybody, certainly no man, doesn't need any of that until she does. But even when she gets your help, she's going to tell you to F off because she's a badass. No, she doesn't need anything. All right, kind of play along. She's funny, but it did start to wear on me as the book progressed. Like if you did that in the first act and set the character like this is a no-nonsense badass character is how she visions herself, great. By act 3, I think we should be pretty much over having to explain things like that. And we're not. It just keeps happening. By the way, Paradox Hotel, talking about time travel. If you assume there'd be time travel in the book, you'd be wrong. There is not actually time travel in the book. There's a lot of discussion of time travel and its effects, but no actual time travel. We're just in the hotel the whole time, which, I mean, granted, it does say it's named Paradox Hotel, not Paradox Hotel and Ancient Sparta. But I would have liked to have seen a little bit of that. There is a couple things that are happening, like there is eggs that are brought back. Somebody snuck through the portal and managed to bring back dinosaur eggs. How? Well, I mean, the tools and all the defenses were supposed to stop that, but that's when you start finding out that things have gotten a little bit hacked. And so not everything is actually available. And so you don't have complete control over your security, which really comes up when there's a sale. So the government's decided to sell the Paradox Hotel because, I don't know, the people in charge of the government want to do it. Somebody's going to make money off it. There's some senators there trying to make money themselves off it. They're going to sell off this government item to the highest bidder. So you've got like a Saudi super rich guy who, by his initials, really made me think of the one who, the current leader of Saudi Arabia. Kind of sounds like him. And then you got some random rich people, and then you got like some government tied folks. And of course, they immediately start fighting because, of course, they do. And of course, everything goes to heck because you have time travel paradox happening, and it's happening more and more. Like there's starting to be flashbacks, and time is starting to not affect at the same rate. Like those eggs that we talked about, those raptor eggs, hatch. Oh, and instead of having little babies, we got these things running around clawing people up. Okay, that was actually kind of cool. Decent book. 3.5 out of 5. January, if she kept it together, I really think this could have gone high. I really think this could have been a fave. Yeah, 3.5. Next up, we're going Prophet. Kind of hard one to see here. Let's see. Helen McDonald and Sin Blanche's book. Sorry about that. Absolutely fantastic hook. Great prose. There was snappy writing. I laughed out loud many times during this book. Namely, as the protagonist who is a raging asshole would say things that are so out of bounds that you just couldn't help but laugh. Like it was funny how bad it got at times. That this gentleman is just, well, I say gentleman, let me take that away. That he's just that big a jackass. But Raoul, that's the raging jerk, and he's a dick, but he's a dick who can tell if you're lying. He can tell if you lied to him. Now, he can't tell if for sure if like you're evading him. You can evade, but if he can get you to say a fact, he can tell if it's real or not. He used that to get jobs in the financial industry. That then wraps him up so he gets jobs in the military, which probably isn't such a great move. But he's such a dick, he burns bridges a lot. But he's super useful and super helpful. So he gets to go visit places like a desert in Asia, or a desert in America, or a random office park in California, and some crappy hotels and a lot of diners. He likes to eat out, but only at crappy places. Yeah, all right. Joining him is Adam, who we also have some point of view. It took a little bit for me to figure out that was actually the same dude. So we have like these flashbacks of him as his childhood. He is a super fantastic, amazing soldier. He can stop all sorts of problems. And yeah, otherwise he's very stoic. He puts up with Raoul for some reason. He's the only person who actually puts up with him. And so naturally Raoul is abusive to him because of it. They definitely have some history. It's not that Adam's innocent completely. I mean, some people did some things to Raoul that kind of got him to go down a worse path. But, you know, when you're a raging jackass to start, I don't feel so bad when bad things happen to you. Which is why I wasn't so happy that there is a happily ever after for Raoul. I'm not so happy about that one, actually. It's like, you really shouldn't be having that. You should have gotten punished for your sins. If you like sins. Or just, a little bit of karma comes back to people. Anyway, in the Prophet, there are things starting to appear. You want to talk about Paradox Hotel Island paradoxes? They have paradoxes. You have paradoxes like a diner appearing in the middle of Asia. Out in the steppes in Asia, this American 1950s diner appears. And Raoul and Adam get caught up in this as people they know were getting caught up in this element called the Prophet. The Prophet is not the thing appearing, it's like the material that is causing it. It gets a little weird. Anyways, you had some really good characters in here. You have a scientist character who I really enjoyed the interactions with her for. So naturally, when you get to the final, you just send her on her way. Oh, she's a big girl. She can take care of herself. And the boys go off and do their thing. Oh, man. It could have been close. This is a book that easily could have been 4.5 stars. 3.5. I didn't like the final execution. I can deal with the character being a raging jackass. I'm okay with raging jackasses. I just don't want them winning. All right? It would be like, it'd just be like Sauron winning. All right, maybe not Sauron, but within range. Anyways, that's the Prophet. Yeah, kind of actually felt a little hollow by the time it finished. Yeah, not doing great on the start January. And then comes a book that my daughter and I have a teenage daughter, and we decided we were going to do this little game of I'll choose your book, you choose mine. We both got nervous that each of us would give each other like a 1,000-page beast. So instead we gave a couple and you got to choose. And the best of what she gave me, or at least where I was feeling it, like she offered up Fourth Wing, but I don't know, I'll probably get to it at some point just to see what's going on, but I'm not super psyched for it after some of the reviews. Anyways, but I am going to actually trying to get Fourth Wing in French. There's a really cool chapters release of it coming out. I think it'd be fun to work through. As I learn French, it'd be fun to work through a book that's a novel. But it looks amazing in French. So it might just happen because of the cover. All right, so instead, what did she end up? What did she get me? The Inheritance Games. Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Sorry, kind of messed that one up. Oh, you're going to notice my daughter. This is my daughter's copy. Yes, it's a paperback, I know. But daughter's copy, she started to go through and she's marking things up. And that's not me. I don't do that to my fiction books. I do it to my non-fictions, though. I will mark those up. So it's always kind of an interesting take. But my fictions are my trophies. So yeah, it's weird how we all have these little things that are unique to us and what we do on our reading. Anyways, let's go after this thing. The Inheritance Games. We have a young lady, Avery Grams. Avery Grams. She's good-hearted. We see her taking care of a homeless person, playing chess against him, and if she beats him, she gets to buy him breakfast, because apparently he doesn't have any money for breakfast. All right, so she's good-hearted. She's taking care of him. She's got a sister who's a sweetheart, or a half-sister who's a sweetheart. Her mom's dead, so she's staying with the half-sister. Half-sister's the guardian. Half-sister, though, has a very, very abusive boyfriend. Needs to get away from him. Boom, here comes the Inheritance Game fun. She, Avery at least, gets invited. They show up and invite her to a will reading for somebody she doesn't know. Turns out this guy is super mega rich, and he's there, well, he's dead, but he's there. His family's there, and he doesn't leave them that much. He leaves them enough. I mean, like, I don't think any of us would turn down $250,000. I think we'd be happy with that. But, yeah, I guess when you grow up a billionaire, not quite what you were hoping for. They end up leaving the billions and billions to Avery. So right there you have this wish fulfillment style book. And this is a book, I call it a wish fulfillment. I still think about this book. We read this at the end of January. It's now early March. I'm still thinking about that book. That's how I'm going to read the book too. Yeah, it's just how it's going to go. It will happen. I don't know if it's happening this month. I've got some serious fiction for March coming. But it's a fun read. And you can pop one of these in 2 days, 2.5 days. At my reading pace, I'm not like the booktubers who read a book a day. That's not happening with me. But if I can get one done in half a week, yeah, I mean, it's fun to throw in different things, right? So the terms of her getting all the money, she has to go live in the Hawthorne Manor. Wait a minute. Did you say Hawthorne? I hope somewhere there's a version of this that these two are in the same universe. Well, I mean, I get they're in our Earth, but these are in the same book universe, and they're somehow linked. Because I want ghost dinosaurs in this. Anyways, actually, I don't. I don't like ghost stories. Or if I do, it's got to be like a Southern Gothic that really makes sense for why you have a ghost story going on. Anyways, back to this thing, the Inheritance Games. So she's got to go live in this house for a year. That's the cost. So she's bringing her sister down. Her sister's going to come stay with her. They're going to live in this house for a year. They're taken care of. I mean, there's food all over the place. And they're actually Hawthorns living there. Yeah, the two daughters of the rich guy and then his grandsons. The four, obviously, they're going to be hot. They're going to know it. They're going to be clever. They're going to be so good at these puzzles and games. Now, Avery's good at her games. She's always been good at her games. The boys have been trained to be good at their games since they were born. Like, you want your birthday present is you're going to have to, like, solve puzzles for him. The old man would give the boys puzzles and make them solve it. The Hawthorne house itself, all sorts of just awesomeness, right? Multiple libraries. Okay, you already sold me on that. Hidden secret rooms. Hidden tunnels that you can use between rooms. So you got the secret passageways like Clue. Like, my first thought is, wow, this is like the Clue house. And then they get to that and I'm like, yeah, it is the Clue house. But it's huge next to the Clue house. Like, each wing. Like, Avery has her own wing. All right, so the boys. It's all about her and the boys. And that's really where this mix was. As we find out, it's definitely a setup for her and the boys to have to solve things. Let's find out what happens. So you got 4 boys. I did write them down, Munchie. Nash. So Nash is the old cowboy type. He's like, hey, it's okay, young lady. And Nash, in his defense, like, when we find out that something bad happened to the half sister, Nash wants to go murder people. Like he's going to go take care of this himself. Which I guess he forgot that they have like a whole security team. But he's going to go handle it. But no one trusts him. Then you got Grayson. Grayson is the first Hawthorne brother we meet. Super dashing, arrogant, knows it all. Totally thinks Avery set him up. Totally thinks Avery somehow plotted this whole thing because Grayson was the heir apparent. And yeah, there's a mystery around a dead girl who he might have been dating. Well, multiple of the boys apparently were dating this girl, and she was playing them against each other. You've got Jameson, so you got the one named after whiskey. All right, always a fan of that. He is a rock climber / love interest. If there is a love interest in book 1, it's him. The love level in this is definitely kind of middle school. I mean, they're 17. It kind of feels like they're a little behind on the maturity level on their dating, which is okay, fine, right? I mean, not every book needs it. And so but she's got cute boys. And so that's, get the butterflies when you see him with his shirt off type thing. And then you got Xander. Xander loves scones and robots. I think we're done with Xander. Yeah, maybe at this point. Who knows? There's more books coming. There is definitely a lot of flirting in this. There is definitely hidden rooms, assassination attempts. Oh, by the way, somebody tries to kill her. More than once. Oh, it's good to be rich, right? So, of course, she has a security team, and she's trying to solve these mysteries. It's a fun romp. It is definitely a fun romp. It kind of Scooby-Doo-ish on some of the mysteries, but smarter than that. But, the fun of Scooby-Doo, but doing it smarter. So, yeah, I mean, it works out. One character I forgot, and I got to go out to this one because this is one of the memories that's hilarious to me. So this girl wins, or she gets the money, right? So she's in charge of the foundation. She's got billions of dollars. She's the richest girl in America. She has a lawyer who said, hey, I worked for him, now I work for you. So she's the daughter of the lawyer who worked for the grandfather. And she just signs her up for school. Oh, by the way, I signed you up to go to the fancy prep high school that the boys go to and like random cousins and things go to. I'm thinking, first off, if I got to stay a year and I'm in this great house, great library, I'm not sure I'm going to school for a year. I think I'm going to be like lawyers, make it so I'm homeschooled. And yeah, not go risk because obviously she's worried about people attempting to hurt her. She's worried about kidnapping. She's worried about all the things that if you suddenly became this internet darling billionaire, yeah, you might be considered to do that. That was a fun book. It's actually my favorite book of January. 4 out of 5. Maybe. I mean, if it was a little more serious book, I'd probably go 4 or 5. If you like books that are like, things are going to work out, it's going to be fun. 4.5 isn't unfair for that book. All right. Audiobooks. Only one this month. And that is Reaper's Gale. It's the 7th book of the Malazan series from Steven Erikson. Absolutely love it. Love it. 45 hours. It was 45 hours. Folks, I walk my dog. That's when I listen to these books. That's a lot of walking the dog. 45 hours is a long way to walk the dog at night. But yeah, it's book. I'm through book 7. So I've done all of them on audio. I do expect to get them in the print. There is a edition coming out from Broken Binding, which I believe every person who knows it is like crossing the fingers. I want them in hardback. I don't like the paperbacks. Old eyes, I see hardbacks better. Plus, I just like them. I like the feel of books. I'm very into the tactile feel of how books work, and it does affect my enjoyment of them. Who knows? Maybe if that was in a hardback, I would have liked it a half point more. Who knows? I'll have to find out. My daughter's got book 3 and 4 in hardcover, so I'm probably gonna have to get her the hardcover so the set looks right. Because otherwise, you got 2 soft covers next to 2 hardcovers, and it just, aesthetics matter. All right. By Reaper's Gale, I'm not going to give any spoilers because it's book 7. I don't want anybody. I'm not even going to mention characters because I don't want you to show up at book 5 and find out something that's going to happen. Like, oh, does this character live or not? Because Steven Erikson kills characters. He will off characters. He is not afraid. Fantastic series. It's Now, Malazan series right now is my favorite fantasy. And so, again, doing the audios, which are great. I mean, they're very interesting. The narrator is fantastic. But I'm also going to do them in print so that I can get all the names of the characters right, because I'm sure I'm butchering them. There's a lot of characters that names are similar to each other. And when you have a huge cast of characters, like you're talking 50 plus characters, it gets a little bit confusing about who's who. And that's just 50 characters you need to care about. I mean, there's probably a couple hundred characters in the book series. All right, let's go after nonfiction time. Fast before I get to it. I'm okay with certain nonfictions not finishing them. It's not that it was a fail. It's not that it was a DNF. It's that if it's episodic, like each piece is just like almost a book by itself, I'm okay with sending it down for a couple months. So don't get mad at me. I didn't finish yet. Packing for Mars. All right. Packing for Mars. Mary Roach. Yeah, sorry, Mary. Forgot the name there. Mary Roach's Packing for Mars. It's great. She's went and interviewed cosmonauts. There's stories there I never heard of. I never heard of the cosmonauts getting in the fight on Mir, or on the Russian side of the space station. Just fun stuff. And you're gonna find. It might have been Mir back then. Anyways, you're gonna find these interesting pieces. And she goes all sorts of things. Like she's on the Vomit Comet. The thing that the plane goes up and then comes down. So it fakes out not having gravity at that point. So you go weightless temporarily. At least weightless from your perspective. Obviously gravity still affects, but it's that feeling when you go over the and you do the dive at a roller coaster. They have one of those for letting people get some time to test in weightlessness. And there's experiments that you can do there and see, hey, will this hold up in weightlessness? Yeah, really good read. If you are into anything to do with loving space travel, going to Mars, going to the moon. I'm one of my favorites. I love the psychology in this. There's a part where they're talking about how the Japanese were testing and trying to figure out who would be the right person for their crew members. And they're having them do origami 1,000 times. I am not made to be a Japanese astronaut. Last book, and then we'll turn you off. Gamify by Brian Burke. That's how far I got. I didn't even give it a good thing. Normally I'm doing these things. Normally I'm pulling these games where I just have random French words on flashcards that I use as my bookmarks. Nope, he doesn't deserve it. This book could have been an email. It could have been an email. We could have been done. We could have been done right away. But are we? No. Nope. Instead, we have a book that says the same thing every chapter. Now, why I got it, a group of us, I teach for a living. I teach adults technical tasks. So like big data systems, security, things like that. And we're always looking for ways to up our material, up our ability to teach, and just how methodology and how we're going to explain something to somebody. Because there's, if you've got a stack of information this big you want them to get, you can't just present it. They're going to forget most of it. You got to make it entertaining. You got to aim in at the part. Like if you got something this big, really you only got like 4 or 5 things in that section that you want them to know about. So you try to aim them in. And gamification is a method for doing this. Get you to remember the parts that mattered. I mean, to a way, I think cert tests, like certification tests, are gamification. It is. Can I pass this thing? Can I get that next level? And you work your way up. It's kind of gamifying. If you ever do like Duolingo is probably the biggest gamification system people know about. Like those little leagues that they're in. Oh, you're in the Diamond League, but you better do some more testing, or you're going to drop down to the. I don't care about their leagues, but it really works on people I know. My wife loves it, and she has been kicking butt at Duolingo now for 3.5 years. Certainly since the beginning of the pandemic. Well, their gamification, basically all it says is gamification is a technique that can work for engagement. Yeah, no crap. Yeah. All right. So, could have sent that in an email. I didn't need to pay you for that. By the way, I think most of us who were doing that book actually DNF'd it. We were talking in our group, and I think most of us DNF'd it. All right, that was January. February books, videos coming soon on that. And yeah, because I filmed this late. Anyways, thanks for coming, and see you next time at the Book Dormer.